Okay. That's your alarm, like a school alarm. Ding. घर के
Yeah.
बज गए. Okay, great. So, what I wanted to discuss with you today was this very, very known topic to us.
Hmm.
So, the reason is that I actually saw this video on Instagram where they some people were doing an experiment where they were making men feel period cramps through some device they have attached to their stomach or something, and that will sort of give them the amount of cramps that women feel while they're on their period. And these men were like falling and screaming and like, oh my god, this is so painful. Like they were trying to, I think the purpose of that experiment was to make them understand that how much a woman goes through,
Yeah.
physically.
Mm-hmm.
But what it made me really think upon is that why do we want them to feel it or want them to know it so much, like so badly? Because I've heard women be like, इनको कुछ नहीं समझ में आता, इनको पता होना चाहिए. क्यों पता होना चाहिए? But why do you want them to feel, or maybe is it that you want men to go through some kind of pain of that amount कि हाँ तुम अच्छा चलो शुक्र है हम नहीं है, तुमको भी कुछ ना कुछ हो रहा है, मतलब सिर्फ हमको नहीं दर्द हो रहा है हर महीने. So is it that kind of a pleasure that we want कि हाँ तो दूसरे को भी कुछ हो रहा है, so I am not the only one who's suffering? Or is it that we are like, oh, you're so insensitive, you don't understand what kind of pain we go through, so I want you to go through the same amount of pain so that you will sympathize with me.
Mm.
It doesn't sit well with me. Like I am not able to understand that logic.
So, what I think is, first of all, the idea that somebody has to go through my pain is very sadistic of the person, but also I kind of enjoy thinking about it because I'm a little like that as a person. But jokes aside, I feel some for instance, something there are some issues I feel जो सामने वाला चाहकर भी empathize नहीं कर पाता. A lot of them are. For instance, a parent's loss. So you and I can only touch it, we can only just think about it. And we try our best. Keep matlab, if we were there, we don't want to think about it, but
Yeah.
God forbid if something happens, but so we can't. So जिसके साथ ये हुआ होता है, only that person knows what the pain feels like. So I think period is very much something like period cramps, like just to think about cramps is it sometimes gives me cramps ki bhai oof fir wo dard har mahine. So but I think when all it's been 26 years of my existence, and I still feel that a lot of my guy friends who are from the non-medical background, they don't understand, because for them it's more
Hmm.
like I get it that you're on a period, but you don't have to throw so many tantrums, you don't have to be reasonable, you don't have to unreasonable and this and that. तो मुझे कई बार लगता है कि यार तुम्हारे साथ होगा ना तो तुम्हें समझ आएगा. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm not purposely trying to be unreasonable with you, but right now
Yeah.
I am in such a pain that I can't even think through. And I can't think through. I just want something at this point, and it's better कि तुम कर दो वो अभी के लिए, so that I mean when I'm actually in my sensible state of thinking, तो तब उस चीज को हम sort out कर लेंगे. But right now just जब तुम दर्द में होते हो, you don't want somebody to come at you and you start
Yeah.
schooling you over things like, bro, shut up, तेरे को दर्द नहीं हो रहा ना. That is what it's like. तो मतलब
Yeah.
but then at the same time मुझे ये भी लगता है that over a period of time we have we know how to contain that pain. That is the beauty of being a woman. A woman knows how to contain that pain, like चाहे वो pregnancy pain हो, चाहे वो period pain हो, like we have become accustomed to it. And but for a man it is extremely new. Like you said that in that experiment they started falling down. तो उनके लिए ना ये बहुत नई टेरिटोरी है. So when they actually realize कि हम अंदर क्या दबा कर रख रहे हैं अपने, that is when I think they would start appreciating the fact that this is exactly what we're going through, like every single month. And like मुझे जैसे, like I generally do not get cramps, but with me it's like I get a severe back pain, and that back pain
Yeah,
is something I need to lie down. Like no matter whether standing in a metro, whether I'm sitting in the class, I want to lie down. I just can't, it's that severe, and I only
it's
know
very
how I have to.
subjective. Like it's different for you, it's
Yeah,
different for me. I think it's different for every woman.
yeah, correct. But the entire cramp in itself, it's just, you can't reason with somebody, like you can't just tell them कि
हाँ,
oh no this and that. नहीं भाई नहीं, दर्द में कोई लॉजिक नहीं होता. दर्द दर्द होता है, फिजिकल हो इमोशनल हो, you let the person be,
yeah.
and like just try to be cooperative. तो but फिर अब
Hmm.
men started falling down was because एकदम से झटका पड़ा होगा तो उनको भी रियलाइज होगा, oh okay, this physical pain, and then there's also a realization that is hitting through. So I guess
But
that's the,
they could only understand the bodily pain. There's also so much that's happening emotionally, mentally.
yeah,
Because with me, what
उसके लिए एक
happens
दिमाग
is,
में भी झटका दे देना चाहिए. Just kidding. नहीं नहीं, मैं I don't promote violence, guys, sorry.
what happens with me is that every month, right before I'm about to get my period, like let's say 7, 8 days before, 5 days before, I start becoming very cranky. I will become very emotional. At the drop of the hat, I'm crying. I'm having these huge meltdowns, okay, like huge meltdowns. Oh my god, my life is falling apart like that. And every time I am also unable to recognize it. Even though I know in my calendar, I know it's my date is about to come. This iPhone thing, you have the health app, no, where you can mark
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you can track your cycle and everything. I know it's about to come. I know it's about to, this is what is going to happen with me. But
Hmm.
still, I am unable to stop it. I am unable to do anything about it. And the moment I get my period, I'm like, oh, तभी ये इतना ड्रामा चल रहा था एक हफ्ते से where
I
I
think that is exactly what I'm saying ना, कि जब when you're in pain, तो क्या होता है, कुछ लोगों को realizations होने शुरू हो जाता है because it starts happening inside you. And even and logically you know कि ये अभी आने
हाँ
वाला है, तो इसलिए इतना ड्रामा हो रहा है. But still you can't be reasonable about it. That is the thing about pain. In when you're in pain, you can't be reasonable. If it hurts you, it hurts you. If it's doing something to you, it
hmm.
is. You can't even like. And I just don't like people who come at me and say, try to control your emotions. एक थप्पड़ मारूंगी ना,
You
try to
can't. It's not in your hand.
yeah,
You
it's not
can't.
I'm doing it deliberately. It's not like I want to do it. मेरे को कुछ शौक नहीं अत्याचार करने का लोगों का, क्या भाई. But there are certain things I cannot, especially when it happens sometime around, when I'm about to get my date, I can't even explain कि वो अंदर क्या चल रहा है मेरे. It's
Hmm.
happening. And I can't even, like I don't expect also people to understand. ठीक है, everybody has their own bandwidth of understanding and comprehending things. तो मैं नहीं expect करती, but what I do expect is कि तुम ना चिल्लाओ मत मेरे ऊपर, because it comes as like तुम शोर मचा रहे हो. मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा. I try my best to जो भी है मैं अपने तक ही रखूं. Like I try my
हाँ.
best because मुझे लगता है कि यार ठीक है, especially and I stay around a lot of girls, so I know how to handle this. But then मेरे साथ problem, like that's my personal problem is I have extreme ends. I'm extremely calm or I'm extremely crazy. There's nothing in between. So what I've been trying my best, because now that we've chosen a profession, just may we you need to have that balance no matter
Hmm.
what is the state of your mind or body. But then there is at least one moment during my period when I will completely lose it, because the pain is such, the and I'm not getting the rest. because इस time क्या होता है, you want to just be in your bed, be the miserable shit that you can be, and nobody, you don't want anybody to take that away from you, because
Yeah, yeah.
in my opinion it's like no matter what you're feeling, just go through it, because that's the only way to get through it. तो वैसे रहता है. So I think just by someone telling me you should stay in control, you should hold yourself together, नहीं नहीं भाई नहीं, आज 4 दिन
That,
तक तो नहीं हो पाएगा, उसके बाद बोल लियो.
but I also feel that we have come a little ahead of our previous generation. Okay, not little, a lot of ahead of our previous generation, because with me, so I have more guy friends than girl friends, even though it's very ironic. I'm from a girls' school, girls' college. 17 years of my existence, I have been in all girls institutions, and still, I would say that I have more good guy friends than girl friends. And for me, I think it's as normal to talk about it in front of my girls as it is to talk about it in front of my boyfriends, like girls, guy friends, not boyfriends, guy friends.
Boyfriends. Mm-hmm.
No, guy friends.
Okay.
Because, like, I remember we just last year, we were out somewhere and I was on my period and I was having this really bad backache because we were constantly walking or standing or doing like we were not able to sit for any lunch or meal also we are standing anything. So I just went like, oh, when will I go home? When will we reach, when will we go to the car? And my friend just asked me, क्या मतलब बुद्धि हो गई है चला नहीं जा रहा तुझसे ये वो. So then I just told him that no, I'm just having cramps, and that's why. And he immediately understood that cramps matlab period cramps. This is not the normal leg cramp or some other kind of cramps that you're having. And he just went like, oh, okay, okay. फिर ठीक है. So that's the end of the conversation. There was no awkwardness. There was no कि oh ये क्या बोल दिया इसने. I think now boys are a little more aware, even if they don't have girlfriend or a sister or somebody to sensitize them to the subject. At least for the boys of our generation coming from a
They
similar
have the idea.
background that
They
that
have an
we
idea.
are from, yeah, they have an idea, and they are not awkward about it. They are not here, ये लेडीज प्रॉब्लम है इसके बारे में हमको बस
Ladies
बताओ तुम.
problem. I agree, that is true, क्योंकि हाँ मतलब अभी yeah, I mean काफी हमारी generation में तो awareness है, but honestly from where I come, मतलब my dad is obviously not my generation, so but I think living I mean I come from a household where it's normal, because when I actually have my period, तो क्या होता है, मैं तो बहुत ही, and since I'm the only child, तो मेरा तो tantrum अलग ही चलता है. फिर घर पर तो तुम होते ही शेर हो ना, बाहर चाहे बीगी बिल्ली हो, घर पे तुम तो
सेम
शेर
पिंच,
हो.
सेम पिंच.
या या सो क्या होता है, when I am throwing my tantrum, I am mean, I'm very self aware, I am a mean person, I am genuinely am. पर क्या होता है ना कि घर पर देयर इज लेवल, दिस लाइक 100 लेवल मीन पर्सन. तो अब जब उनको पता है ना कि ऐसे गंदे गंदे सड़े हुए जवाब आ रहे हैं, कुछ काम नहीं कर रही है, एकदम ऐसे पड़ी हुई है, ये वो, सो ही नोस क्या my daughter is on her period, so what he tries his best to not engage. That is our mutual understanding. But yes, every time when he's like, I think you should go and wash your clothes, so he just comes barging into my room and he's like, कपड़े क्यों नहीं धो रहे हो तुम अपने? I'm like, धो रही हूँ थोड़ी देर में. कहते ये क्या बात हुई थोड़ी देर में, कहते तुम करो क्लीन. Then he start giving me lecture on menstrual health. He gives me lecture, okay. he just goes on and on about it, and then I mean that is also because उनका उम्र का तकाजा है कि वो बस अब रूम को फुल स्टॉप एक्सक्लेमेशन कुछ नहीं पता, वो बस पंक्चुएशन के बगैर शुरू हो जाता है. But he would come in and then he would give me lecture on women health, then he would give me lecture on menstrual health, then he would give me lecture on general health and everything else. So so at my house it's very normal. It's
Hmm.
as normal as if I get diarrhea or get a random stomach ache. It's just that. So you know up I don't expect the same treatment from my चाचू लोग. I live in a joint family, so मैं अब उनसे expect नहीं कर सकती. Even I don't even know how the environment is during that time उनके यहाँ पे. So at least when my sister was there. But अपने घर में what I can say is that it's very normal. And he's not even my generation. I'm not his generation. He has normalized it to the point कि it's not awkward to even tell him कि भाई chill. तो कई बार होता है मतलब like I do remember a couple of times like last period में this has happened. So he was telling me something to do and I'm like मेरा मन नहीं है करने का. तो like क्यों मन नहीं है? कहते सारा दिन तुम बैठी तो रहते हो, कब मन क्यों नहीं है? I'm like मुझे periods हो रहे हैं. I gave him a look, like periods हो रहे हैं. So he's like okay, go. So it's for I think it also depends on how from the family that you come from and how well aware or I should say how normal they are with these things. And as far as my guy friends go, I think yeah, I think they're very normal. It is my guy best friend. He's from a medical background. उसके लिए तो सब कुछ ही normal हो चुका है. So he's like very, he's
That is great.
he's so relaxed. He's like ये दवाई ले ले ठीक हो जाएगा, ये दवाई ले ले ठीक हो जाएगा, ऐसे ये खा ले वो कर ले, इसको लगा ले सब ठीक हो जाएगा. I
I
guess
think
काफी सही है.
I think guys are becoming okay, but we are not ready to accept that they are okay with it. Because give you an example. We as in not us, but just women in general. So when I was in my masters, we this girl in my class asked me if I have a pad, and I said yeah, yeah. But so for me, being from an all girls institution throughout my life, giving like exchanging pads is a very normal thing. It's not something to be
Yeah.
hidden or whatever. But because this was a co-ed environment, I asked for her permission. What are you comfortable with? Do you want it like this? I can give it to you like this. Do you want it like, alag se chupake or whatever? So I can come with you to the washroom and, you know. So she was like, no, no, she started telling me how comfortable she is, taking it in the open, and she's not afraid of hiding it. She's not ashamed of, carrying a pad in her hand. And then she started talking about it to a great extent, justifying and explaining that how okay she is with this whole process. So I was like, if you're okay in my head, just take it and go, na.
Yeah.
Why
You
do
have
you
to
have to
justify it.
justify it? Because the moment you start justifying it, it means that you're trying to prove a point to somebody or someone. Actions
Hmm.
speak louder than words, no? Just
True.
do it. Don't
Actually,
talk
that
so
is
much.
the point. Just do it,
Yeah.
please. Like मेरे को आगे पीछे की राम कहानी नहीं चाहिए. तुम्हें जो करना है करो और करके खत्म करो. That's the
आसपास के
point.
सब सुन रहे थे ना. I think maybe one of the reasons was that to make everybody understand. सारे जो आसपास लड़के थे जो सुन रहे थे या I don't know किसने सुना कितना सुना.
I
But
think more than you, I think she was trying to prove it to herself. Like, sometimes what happens is I've seen that when you are telling something to somebody, obviously you're coming from an experience, right? तो क्या होता है कि मतलब in a situation such as this, I feel sometimes you're just trying to convince yourself कि हाँ कि मतलब it's right. Like for instance ये जो situation है उसमें भी more than you, I think जो oh what, somebody was listening. Oh God. Yeah, please इसको कट कर देना, इतनी बेइज्जती नहीं हैंडल हो पाएगी. So anybody who was listening to it, I think she was just trying to prove कि हाँ she's very chill, she's very okay, she's very open minded. Anybody who's open minded does not have to pretend, does not have to justify. They are open
you
minded
need
and
not to say that I am open-minded.
yeah,
You can see it. One can see it.
exactly. It's just out there. It's out there. So, for
Yeah.
instance, you don't have to come at me and tell me, bro, I am open minded. I'm like, हाँ मुझे पता है श्रुति open minded है. मेरे को उसको मुझे कोई certification देने की जरूरत नहीं है कि वो है.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, another thing that I was actually discussing with my brother the other day, when we were also somewhere, talking about this video and this whole concept of, women going through period pain, and I'm sure I've heard this somewhere, and I also know that there are some institutions that give out leaves to women, to their female employees,
Yeah,
where they are on their period. But
स्कूल में
what
सब नहीं
we,
होगा, सारा स्कूल खाली हो जाएगा बहन.
but what we were discussing was, and I found it very logical that if you make it a mandatory thing that all female employees should be given like 5 days or 4 days a week a chutti when they're on their period, it is actually going to be very problematic because at different levels actually. First, it will definitely make the employer not want to hire a female employee
True.
because in 4 days of a week, 4 days of a month, he will have to give her a paid leave. Second, so he would rather choose a male employee जिसको 4 दिन की छुट्टी नहीं
वो तो
लेनी
है.
पड़ेगी, है
हम्म.
ना? And secondly, not all women are honest. हम कोई हरिश्चंद्र के बच्चे
I agree.
नहीं है, right? We are not the most noblest people on earth.
Every once
So
in a while, I know what person I am. So every once in a while, I wouldn't mind killing somebody who doesn't exist in my family. So I
so
know. No, I am just being very honest since it's a very non-filtered conversation. But you're very, you're really right about this. Because not every woman is honest. And I know plenty of them who are not. I
we know
myself
we
not.
know that.
We know them. So obviously, it's what you're saying is correct. क्योंकि मतलब नहीं होती यार औरतें honest, मुझे पता है ये.
हाँ तो 4 दिन की वो छुट्टी से वो 4 दिन की छुट्टी में वीकेंड का ऐड करके 6 दिन का वेकेशन एवरी मंथ इज नॉट is not an option that any organization is going to take. They're not going to afford your vacation, let's be honest. And I also feel that since period cramp is such a subjective thing, not every woman needs a leave for that, because
Hmm.
many a times like I have such a cycle where every alternate month is the bad one, but the one where it is not that bad, I can do pretty much everything that I'm doing in my life. I can work
Yeah.
out, I can do my
I
exercise, I
don't
can go
get
to
a
work,
lot of
everything.
cramps.
I don't
Even
think I
same
have ever taken a leave from college also just because I'm on my period. I'm not.
same.
So
I
I
haven't.
think, हाँ, फिर हम क्या, so you think that this is a very uh, advisable option, because I see a lot of women rooting for it that, yeah, we must get 5 दिन, 4 दिन, 2 दिन, whatever amount of days of leave that you want on the basis of menstrual cycle. Like, uh, okay, also keeping in mind that there might be people who really need it. Like, they really go through some bad phase and they are like, not able to get up from their bed. But we're talking here about a larger population, not about this specific people.
So I feel that my response to this question might land me up in a controversy. But you see, I once
If
again
you say it, if it is too controversial, we'll not put that part. Or
good one. That's wise. But see, honestly, again, like like we expect men to understand ki what period pain feels like, right? But
Hmm,
then
hmm,
again, at the same time, there are a lot of women, especially like me, who doesn't really get cramps. And honestly,
hmm,
like you said, both of us have never taken leaves because we are on our period. So
hmm,
it's a little difficult for me to actually empathize, 100% empathize with somebody who actually goes through the cramps, because I like friends around me, they all just talk about it, all of them. Like I have three friends in college, so in my class actually, so they all talk about you know how severe it gets for them. And then I'm sitting there like, hey, ऐसे भी होता है क्या? नहीं मतलब I know एक दो बारी आया है मुझे, but that was just one initially when I think I was in 7th or 8th when I had it, and then ever since then I
Hmm.
really didn't have a cramp. तो अब now to think about it कि यार हाँ, there are women who might need an off, genuine off, because the cramp is unbearable and पूरा दिन
Hmm.
we bleed. तो वो तो कभी भी आ सकता है. Occurrence could be any time of the day. I mean, तुम ऑफिस में मीटिंग दे रहे हो सकते हो, तुम एक्चुअली में कुछ प्रेजेंट कर रहे हो सकते हो, सडनली लाइक ओ शिट क्रैम्प आ गया मुझे. दैट
Yeah,
हैपेंस.
yeah, yeah.
बट देन अब वही है ना, बाइफरकेट करना बड़ा मुश्किल है कि कौन सच्ची है कौन झूठी है. एंड लाइक यू सेड, वो 6 दिन का वेकेशन सुनने में इतना डिलिशियस लग रहा है, तो ऑब्वियसली मतलब अब वो फिर इंटेग्रिटी की बात आ
How do you
जाती है.
check? वो तो हो ही नहीं सकता ना, like you can't
हाँ,
अगर वो तुम एक रूल बना दो, हाँ 5 दिन या 4 दिन का छुट्टी आपको सैंक्शन है ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ योर मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल, हाउ डू यू like make sure that it is for that purpose only? There's no way to find out.
it's
कोई
no,
तरीका है ही नहीं.
but I think you can at least reduce it. What I feel is
Hmm.
कि यार कंपनी नहीं देखती कि तुम मेल हो या फीमेल हो. अब जब जब कंपनी को कोई रूल लागू करना होता है एम्प्लॉय पे, दे डोंट लुक एट यू एज अ मेल और अ फीमेल, दे लुक एट यू एज एन एम्प्लॉय. सो
Employees, yeah,
ठीक है. सो आई थिंक द बेस्ट आई फील इज कि यार तुम 1 या 2 दिन का छुट्टी दे सकते हो. आई मीन दो भी आई फील बिकम्स अ लॉट, गिवन दैट इफ somebody gets their period on Friday, and if the Saturdays work, if Saturday and Sundays are off, then there has to be a clause for it कि हाँ, अगर if if you're taking an off on so and so day, maybe the next 2 days or next 1 day का leave तुम्हारा मतलब वो unpaid जाएगा. There has to be some clause. अब मैं तो हूँ नहीं रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन वाली लड़की, तो मुझे आइडिया नहीं है कैसे बनेगा ये. बट आई थिंक एक छुट्टी इज एक छुट्टी इज जस्टिफाइबल. एक दिन तो
yeah,
तुम्हें
yeah,
4 दिन में से एक दिन ना तुमको मिलना चाहिए, गिवन दैट यू ब्लीड कॉन्टिन्यूसली थ्रू आउट द डे. It's only human for you to give us one off. However, there has to be a clause that needs to work out, that needs to work upon कि भाई कैसे होगा क्या होगा. एंड यस, दैट इज अ वेरी गुड पॉइंट कि मान लो फ्राइडे है और फिर सैटरडे संडे आ गया तुम्हारा, तो वो तो 3 दिन इन वन गो होगा. एंड देन इफ यू वांट टू टेक अनदर ऑफ, दैट इज ऑन यू. बट
hmm.
एक दिन
But
पेड लीव
also,
फाइन.
sorry, yeah, please.
नहीं, आई एम जस्ट सेइंग कि एक दिन का जो पेड लीव होता है, आई फील इट्स फाइन, इट्स ओनली ह्यूमन. आई मीन इवन इफ योर कंपनी और
Hmm.
नॉट, अब तुम अपनी इमेज के लिए कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी वाले काम करते हो ना, सीएसआर करते हो, तो अपनी कंपनी में भी थोड़ा सीएसआर कर लो इसी बहाने, यू नो.
Yeah, like one point that you mentioned that the company doesn't look at you as a female or a male employee. It just looks at you as an employee. So again, a point that I feel a lot of people will not agree, like a lot of women especially maybe might not agree with me, but I feel that if I have to speak very, very rationally and on the very strict point that feminists or just women social workers in general are fighting for, they are fighting for equality, right? You don't want the employer to look at, that's what we always say ना, हमको as a female employee मत देखो कि female employee है तो इसको पैसा कम दो, female employee है तो इसको ज्यादा काम कराओ, ज्यादा number of hours working करो. No, you want to be treated as an equal you know participant in the workspace. So over here also, if we have to acknowledge that okay, men and women are physiologically different, you cannot deny the fact that yes, uh, a woman will go through her period every month, but that should not be the basis of you not hiring her. Like we
Exactly.
have heard instances where in the army and other very highly specialized these courses or I think officers and all also earlier women were not allowed to take up those positions because they felt that because you're going to bleed every month, you will not be physically very fit to do certain tasks, certain activities that an officer is supposed to do. You'll not be able to do your duty. But then women fought for it that no. even during my period, I am strong enough, I am capable enough to do everything that a man can do. Because that's how my body is made, that's how I am, manufactured to do all of this stuff, even when, I'm going through my period. And we see these police, uh, female police officers, we see the traffic police, the woman is standing there on the road continuously from morning till evening till the time her shift is over, managing the traffic, or the police officers, they're doing their duty, whatever it is, without any excuse. They don't get a leave. They don't get any amount of, you know, chutti on the basis of this, this reason. So I feel that when that is something that you really fought for, मतलब वो दिया नहीं गया आपको, वो छीनना पड़ा है उनसे लड़ लड़ के कि नहीं हमको वो मौका दो, इसके बेसिस पे हम नहीं स्लैक करेंगे, हम नहीं पीछे रहेंगे. तो व्हाई नाउ डिमांड और इवन एक्सपेक्ट any sort of sympathy on the basis of this point? You've actually fought for it. You've gotten it. And now again you want to fight because you feel that no, some form of empathy or sympathy. Okay, empathize karna good. That you acknowledge it. Maybe don't give her a work that is too much running around wala kaam. कि ठीक है, one day you take it low. आराम से अपने जगह पे बैठ के आप काम करो या जो भी है. We'll help you out in that way. But to actually go out there and demand for a leave, like a proper leave, कि नहीं हमको 2 दिन 5 दिन की छुट्टी चाहिए. क्यों? Because I'm going through my. So you're actually going back in time. What was the point of all of those women fighting for equal opportunities, equal recognition? That's what I feel like. That's what my thought process is. That you're actually going back in time and negating all the efforts made by the women who were not given the opportunity based on this one fact that they're going to mention.
So,
That's what I feel.
see, my physical capability should not, of you know, overshadow my um, mental ability. Okay,
Hmm.
that is one thing. Now, fighting for rights, like I agree, it's like all of us going back in time. But to think about it, I feel debate तो नहीं है ना इसमें कि we go through a period. We do. But at the same time, आप ex- मतलब I don't know how should I put this, because I was making the statement in my head and now it's been completely blank. But it's more like आपको हमेशा you fight on what is right and what is wrong. That's the debate that always goes कि this is right, this is wrong. But period एक ऐसी चीज है, like you, it's not that we are going back in time. Firstly, we actually have to fight to put ourselves out there. पहले फाइट हमारा ये था that we had to put ourselves out there कि तुम हमें acknowledge करो and accept करो that we are
Hmm.
as good as you are. But then
Hmm.
now that we are already there, for a lot of women we are already there. अभी भी चलो गांव में तो we, I am pretty sure ऐसा
Yeah.
नहीं है. It's not that. But if you simply focus at the urban environment, we are there now that you know we get, we should get equal opportunities. But अब उसके आगे भी तो move करना है ना. तो आगे का step ये है कि at least now I do not agree कि 5 दिन का छुट्टी होना चाहिए. It's no.
Hmm.
I don't agree. It's a complete disagreement कि तुम 5 दिन का छुट्टी ले लो, because it is a little injustice towards the men,
Hmm.
towards men. ठीक है. And that is how, like you said, that is how we have been manufactured. तो अगर हम 5 दिन का छुट्टी मानेंगे तो obviously employer will see us as a manufacturing defect कि भाई इनका तो 5 दिन का है. But
Yeah.
again, at the same time, it does become your responsibility as a man to actually consider that there's an entire gender that actually bleeds throughout the day for at least 4 days a month. So tum ye we you should like the max you can do is to actually give 1 day off, because उसमें भी there is a chance, good chance कि तुम work from home भी दे सकते हो. ठीक है?
Yeah,
There are
that's a very good
alternatives.
option. Yeah.
There are all, when there is a problem, it's not just always a problem, there's always a solution to it. And it's just
Hmm.
sometimes you don't want to find a solution because we're too adamant, too rigid to look at it. ठीक है? तो अब
Hmm.
ये है, चलो पीरियड वाली चीज ही कह देते हैं. ठीक है? Like during COVID, I have actually realized that when you're at home, you work far more than you work at the office. Like the amount of stress that was built during the lockdown, I think relatively I feel it may have reduced, because घर पे तो तुमको कहीं बाहर जाने को नहीं मिल रहा. तो technically work from home is also like a benefit to you. She's still working. ठीक है, थोड़ी देर लेट जाएगी वो भले ही, but she's still working. ठीक है, तो so there's an alternative to, but at least 1 day again, it is required, because genuinely, if a man was supposed to bleed a day throughout the day, please don't, nobody can come to me and tell me कि ये ड्रामे नहीं करते. ये पक्का ड्रामे करते. They would come and make separate rules and everything. I mean, come on, why do you think patriarchy exists? It is for the convenience of men. It is for the convenience of men. Mostly मैंने तो यही देखा है कि मतलब तुमको जो सही लग रहा है, because you're like physically stronger gender, and you can come at us and just like kill us. So that is there. तो तुमसे अगर एक दिन का हम छुट्टी भी मांगे, it's not like it's a very difficult thing to give. It's just 1 day off that is very reasonable off. इतने तो तुम unpaid leaves भी, paid leaves भी देते ही हो. So that's just
I think
one.
that's, I'll just quickly add to that point that maybe what we are trying to say is that the, what would be just to ask for is consideration. That yes,
Yeah,
this is
I
happening,
mean, at
and
least
just be a
there
little
has
more
to be
considerate.
consideration. अब
Hmm.
रही बात आर्मी, women in army की, so we can still have a clause like you and I, both of us have never taken an off during during our period, right? So if you and I can exist, I am sure in a huge population there are women in existence जिनका सबको ऐसे क्रैम्प लेके उनको ये नहीं लगता कि वो ढेर हो जाएंगी. They are still there out there. And when I am
Hmm.
on my period, I am playing. मैं खेलती हूँ वॉलीबॉल वगैरह, मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं होती उसमें. And I do know a couple of women who also lift during their period. I don't know how they're doing it, but they do it. They go to gym, they do everything. So
Yeah. Yes.
you can still have a clause there also कि भाई if you are on your period, are you comfortable doing this and that? At least you consider it. Leave it upon her. Problem पता है क्या है? They enforce it on you. They don't leave it on you. The
Hmm.
option needs to be given to the woman whether she wants to choose it or not. You leave it upon her. You
Yeah.
put your clause.
Yeah.
तुम अपना पॉइंट रख दो कि हमें ऐसा लगता है कि ये और ये है, ये हमारा प्रॉब्लम है और हमको ऐसा नहीं मांगता है
Hmm.
इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में या इस पोस्ट पे. तो अगर तुम्हें लगता है कि तुम हमारी गाइडलाइन से अग्री कर सकते हो, अगर तुम्हें लगता है तुम मैनेज कर सकते हो, तो तुम भर दो फॉर्म.
Hmm.
Leave
Hmm.
it to the
Hmm.
woman. Don't come at her and say no, women bleed and you can't do this, you can do that. I mean, I come at you and tell you can't compete here. Would you like it? ऐसा मेल ईगो हर्ट होगा ना, 10 दिन तक इंजर्ड पड़े रहेंगे. प्लीज. तो
I
ये
think
चीज.
हमको हमको एक नया टर्म इन्वेंट करना चाहिए, फीमेल ईगो. It's high time we need to come
या
up with some ego, man. What I'm tired of hearing this male ego, male ego, male ego. भाई हमारा भी ईगो होता है. हम भी हर्ट हो
हाँ,
सकते हैं. What is this?
नहीं वो तो एक्सपेक्टेशन ही है ना. एक तो प्रॉब्लम ये है कि इतने जमानों से हम लोगों ने झुकना सीख लिया है, इतना झुकते आए हैं, और कई बार अगर झुकना ना भी सीखा हो तो झुकाया गया है कि अब वो हैंडल नहीं हो पाता. फॉर अ लॉट ऑफ गाइज, आई मीन, it's not like there are ऐसे men, like there are no men in existence who understand issues. There are. I have met them and I know there are actually men out there who apologize, who would agree, who would give you, let you have your opinions. So I know they exist, but the majority, is a little it's majority में ऐसा नहीं है. So I don't know really. I mean, females in general, I don't know about the ego issue, but yeah, when you, for the longest time, when you've not been heard, your opinions have not been valued enough, you tend to get aggressive about it. It's just like वो होता है ना, वो फिजिक्स वाला कि तुम इसको इतना जितना प्रेशर से दबा दो वो उतनी स्पीड से आएगा बाहर और पंच कर देगा, वो ऐसा ही है.
हम्म
और वो अब वो
हम्म
शायद इट्स नॉट लाइक कि मतलब ये फ्लॉ है. इट्स जस्ट कि तुम इतना टाइम सप्रेशन झेल चुके हो तो तुम अभी नहीं सुनोगे. तो लेट द पेन यू नो ईज आउट अ लिटिल, वो अलग चीज है मेरे हिसाब
yeah
से.
yeah but I also feel that talking about it okay, like talking about it with people, with men in general, will just make it a very normal thing now. It's not about how much you are outrightly saying it. जरूरी नहीं है कि बाहर जाके हमेशा जोर जोर से उसके बारे में आपको बात करनी है, आपको बोलना है तो सबको जा जाके नहीं, कम आई विल टॉक टू यू अबाउट पीरियड टुडे. नो, it's in the it's in the smaller subtle things that you do, where that awareness part of it comes out, that
वी
if
डोंट
you
नो
are,
हाउ टू डू इट सटली. दैट्स द पॉइंट.
yeah,
हम सटल कर ही नहीं सकते हैं वो. लाइक इट्स जस्ट इट्स there's no such thing as subtle for us. क्या है ना, पहले शोर मचाना जरूरी वो होता है ना. एक बार पहले जब आप बहुत टाइम तक कोई चीज हैंडल करते रहते हो, सुनते रहते हो,
mm,
बॉटल अप करते हो, तो फिर जब वो बाहर आता है तो वो
mm,
एकदम शोर की तरह ही बाहर आता है. बट नाउ दैट इट्स आउट देयर, द आइडिया लाइक यू सेड कि सटल होना चाहिए, वी स्टिल लर्निंग टू डू दैट. अभी क्या है ना, इट्स मतलब if you look at it, a lot of things have changed in past, let's say 5 years. Nobody knew what feminism was
mm.
until I think we started hearing it when I think 2018 17 18 से we started hearing feminism. उससे पहले हमको पता भी नहीं था what it was. Like
How when Instagram and all of these things just became
yeah.
very popular, and
तो
social media
इसको
really came up.
subtly conversation में slide करना, normalize करना will take us a few more years. अभी भी like if you look at it, LGBTQ अभी CP में LGBTQ walks होते हैं, ठीक है, there are pride walks
Pride
and
walk.
everything.
हाँ.
Still people are not ready to accept it.
Yeah, I posted a picture about it and somebody said, "But you are straight." I was like, "So? Really?
Exactly,
How are you
just
supporting them?"
imagine the, do
I
you
don't need
see?
to be gay to support them.
Yeah, एग्जैक्टली exactly. इस हिसाब से तो राजा राम मोहन रॉय जिन्होंने सती एस्टैब्लिश किया था उनको तो औरत ही होना चाहिए था सती एस्टैब्लिश करने के लिए. व्हाट इज दिस लॉजिक? See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. There is, you know, अगर शोर मचाना भी जरूरी है, और मैं तो कह रही हूँ अभी भी जरूरी है शोर मचाना, क्योंकि आधे लोग तो दिमाग से पैदल बिल्कुल सुनाई देता है फिर भी बहरे हैं, दिखाई देता है फिर भी अंधे हैं. तो शोर मचाना तो बहुत जरूरी है. पर
Yeah, but पता है
वो
क्या?
होता है ना, नो
I,
योर ऑडियंस. आई थिंक द कॉन्सेप्ट कम्स
hmm,
हियर इज नो योर ऑडियंस. Like for instance, if somebody is talking to you एंड इफ दे नो यू, तो ऑब्वियसली तुम्हारे सामने शोर थोड़ी मचाएंगे वो. आई वोंट कम एट शाउटेड यू ये करना चाहिए नहीं. आई जस्ट subtly tell you, yeah, see, this is what I think, this is what I feel, what do you feel about this. बट अगर सामने वाला, लेट्स से इफ इट्स माय हाउस हेल्प who's away from all this, or maybe who is blind towards all this, probably उसके सामने तुम थोड़ा शोर मचा सकते हो, because you know because she's very rigid when it comes to things like these. I have overheard a few conversations उसकी और मम्मी की, तो तब मुझे लगता है what is wrong with her, but then I also give her that कि ठीक है, she comes from a certain background. तो उनके सामने शोर मचाना या उनके सामने थोड़ा लाउडली इन चीजों में बात करना, या to try to make her understand in a louder tone, that makes sense. So it's more about knowing your audience. Like you said, that girl
हाँ.
in your college who was trying to prove a point कि हाँ, she's very okay with periods. So if she had known you personally, like she had known you how you are as a person, उसको इतना justify करने की जरूरत नहीं होती तुम्हें. She would have been like,
I, what you said is correct. Know your audience, and it's important to sometimes also. voice things out in a very loud way. But what I have observed in my personal experience is that if you come out as a very very loud person like on these topics कि कहीं पे अगर कुछ फेमिनिज्म या कुछ फीमेल वायलेंस या कुछ भी ऐसा टॉपिक अगर कंट्रोवर्शियल वाला जिसके बारे में अब बहुत बातें हो रही है आप उसको छेड़ के थोड़ा स्ट्रांगली अपना ओपिनियन पुट फॉरवर्ड करते हो ना तो पीपल डोंट लिसन टू यू दे एक्चुअली बैक आउट दे लाइक यार ये तो काफी वायलेंट और मतलब वो नारेबाजी करने वाली लड़की लग रही है तुम इसके रहने दो
Yeah.
तुम छोड़ो बट इफ यू एक्चुअली say again I'll go back to a point that I made earlier that your actions really speak louder than words. If you just do it in a subtle way in the sense that when I remember 2 3 years ago I had gone out with my friends and it was not friends it was just 2 3 of us my brother me and one of our another guy friend and I wanted to buy a packet of pads and this it's called a clean and dry foam wash for your, when you for your vaginal cleaning. And I wanted to buy that, and for a second, I was like, should I do this right? Should I go in, take it right now? Should I come back later? बाद में time मिले ना मिले पता नहीं. And then I was like, no, I don't want to explain anyone anything. I just told them, I need to buy a couple of things. I'll just come. I went inside, I got the stuff, and he was again usually packing it in a black packet or whatever. I was like, नहीं नहीं भैया पैकेट की जरूरत नहीं है मेरे पास बैग है. I had a bag, like this huge bag outside, and I just took it. I went out. I told my friend back home, and I just placed them inside, and I just kept quiet. Nobody said anything, and they were like, "हो गया तेरा काम?" I was like, "हो गया मेरा काम," and that's it. So that all for me, what I felt was it made a point that I'm okay with this whole process. It doesn't matter to me who I am with, but at the same time, it also conveyed to my friend that it is okay to
Talk
buy
about,
pads
to normalize all
ओपनली.
this.
हाँ वो बॉम्ब की तरह उसको पैकेट में लेके जाने की जरूरत नहीं है कि जैसे पता नहीं क्या है
Bomb की तरह.
ड्रग्स लेके जा रही हो काले कपड़े पैकेट में.
नहीं नहीं वो तो है ही. बट वही है ना यार. अभी I don't know how far will you agree to this, but that was also because somewhere deep down these are educated people that I'm hanging out with. These are not the kind of people
Hmm.
from a different generation altogether. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
you
yeah,
can't you can't entirely do that in front of an old person from an opposite
hmm,
gender who's not from your generation. I mean,
hmm.
once थोड़ा हिचकिचाहट होगी तुम्हें. Given that, I mean, if you can do, if you'll do it in front of your dad or father, I'm pretty sure you're fine with it, because obviously they're not like, oh my god, they won't say stuff like that, or they would even flinch over it. But then maybe if that's your neighbor uncle who's maybe in his 50s, and he's that one judgmental weirdo. So I don't know how will you, but like for me, it's more like कि यार मुझे पता है मैं किसके साथ हूँ. So when you know a person's nature, what you try to do is like avoid certain situations that would erupt an argument, a controversy per se. तो मैं avoid करूँगी. Like I won't do it because for me it's my father who मैं उनको बोलती हूँ मुझे ये order कर दो, वो कर देते हैं, no questions asked. Rather, he would come to me and ask me whether do you need stuff, do you have it stocked, do you want me to
Yeah,
order
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
That he is the one who's doing it, not my mother, not me. I तो anyway don't order anything. घर का कुछ भी काम नहीं पता मुझे. But for him, he's the one who's actually asking me and telling me. He's asking me, do you have disposable bags or not? And he's generally at the forefront of all this. Abhi, but at the same time, I would step back and not buy stuff in front of my, let's say, my neighbor uncle, because if he's standing I would like avoid it. Because क्या होता है ना कि you when you are living in a place where it's the kind of people you're around, you
Mm,
sometimes
mm.
try to ignore it, avoid it. And I know that is wrong. Again, I know that is wrong, because if I have because I you like you said, it's actions that are louder than words. I don't have to engage in a debate with him. But sometimes you see, वो कहते हैं ना, ignorance is bliss वाला
It's a
चीज.
bliss.
या
हाँ.
तो वो वाला फैक्टर भी ना प्ले आउट होता है कहीं ना कहीं. और मेरे केस में होता है क्या, कभी कभी मेरा होता है. वैसे ये भी है कि मेरे मूड की भी बात है. अब अगर मूड कर जाएगा तो मैं ले भी लूंगी, फर्क भी नहीं पड़ेगा. क्या क्या ही कर लेंगे, पूछ लूंगी आपकी बीवी को नहीं हुए थे क्या कभी. व्हाट इज दिस. बट बट कभी कभी माइंड स्पेस ही ऐसा होता है कि यार अब मतलब कई बार होता है ना, यू हैड अ लॉन्ग डे, यू डोंट वांट टू स्टार्ट अनदर आर्ग्यूमेंट. सो व्हाट डू यू जस्ट लाइक तुझे जो करना है कर, या ऐसा कुछ करो ही मत जिससे आर्ग्यूमेंट हो. तो वो भी कहीं नहीं. एंड फॉर अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल आई टेल यू, दिस इज द केस कि वो ना ऐसे लोगों के सामने करेंगे ही नहीं कुछ ऐसा कि उनको पॉइंट मिलेगा आर्ग्यूमेंट करने का या एक कॉन्वर्सेशन थ्रेड स्टार्ट करने का. तो मेरे साथ भी होता है, कभी कभी मैं भी ऐसे करती हूँ. लाइक इट्स 50-50.
Mm,
समटाइम्स आई डू इट, समटाइम्स आई जस्ट अवॉइड इट. तो
mm,
मे बी
mm.
like you said, you just did it, like clear cut, you did it. You did not even think.
Yeah,
It was not, for you it
yeah.
was so normal, you did not even have to think about it, let alone give somebody an answer or justify it. So
I think
yes.
I could do it because, like you, I also come from a family where this is not a stigma or a taboo or something
Yeah.
that you have to really, talk in whispers. Like when my mom, for the first time, I remember when my mom told me that this is something that I mean, I was in my fifth standard, fourth or fifth standard, and you're just getting is just getting to know that ऐसा भी कुछ होता है, and you're like, oh my god, does this happen to all the women, ये वो. And I remember my mom, like, we went back to her room, and my dad was like, where were you guys? And she just very casually told him that I was just telling her about periods, and this is about to happen to her. And my first reaction was, why is she telling dad? But but obviously I didn't say it out loud. But because in my house it was such a normal conversation, like my dad knew about it. My dad knew when I had my first period, and he was so supportive. वो मुझे बस स्टॉप पे छोड़ने जाता था, वो धीरे धीरे चलते थे कि अरे अभी नया नया एक्सपीरियंस
Uh,
है.
it's
इसलिए.
overwhelming, it's actually overwhelming. If your
But
first period is always overwhelming.
initially I remember for the longest time, before abhi, I think just since the last 2 years, 2.5 years, I'm buying my pads on my own. But before that, it was my dad who used to get them for us, and I would send him a picture कि ये नहीं ये वाला लाना,
Oh yeah,
ये वाला लाना
it still
क्या.
happens. It's still I'm sending him screenshots कि नहीं नहीं ये वाला. Then he's like खुद लिंक भेज दे, मेरे को तंग मत कर, खुद लिंक भेज दे, मैं कर दूंगा ऑर्डर. मैंने कहा okay. My first period was so, even my first period was first thing I got my period. I was in denial. I got my period. I knew about it. I always knew about it because
Yeah,
I don't know. I
yeah.
think through my mother only she, ऐसे चलते फिरते कभी उन्होंने बोला होगा, क्योंकि बहुत ही नॉर्मल हो चुका था. पता नहीं हमारे घर में हमेशा से ही नॉर्मल था शायद ये. तो उन्होंने चलते फिरते बोल दिया होगा कभी कुछ, तो मेरे को बात याद रह गई. अब जब मुझे पीरियड आया, अब मैं तो डिनायल में, तो नहीं नहीं, चोट लग गई है, मेरे को कैसे आ सकता approach towards us. I was hiding my stained clothes. I was hiding them. I mean, I was so, I don't know what. And then one fine afternoon, my mother, I was lying. वो by chance उस चादर नहीं होगी ऊपर. My mother saw. So she came to me. She was like, देखो तो periods हो गए. I was like, तो मैं नींद में थी. She's like, देखो periods हो गए. वो ऐसे ही बोल रही थी. Like this was the tone. मेरे को तो फिर गुस्सा चढ़ गया. मैं कहा यार शिट यार, चादर ढक लेनी चाहिए थी. मेरा रिएक्शन ये था. एंड देन शी इज लाइक, शी कॉल्ड पापा, एंड फिर मेरी नींद खुल गई. मैं लाइक एम्बैरेसिंग AF. कि भाई पापा को बुला के बोलिए इसको तो पीरियड्स हो। मैंने कहा भाई एक काम करो ना, कॉलोनी में जाके ड्रम बजा दो इसी बात का। व्हाट इज दिस? What was the need to call Papa? My reaction was, what was the need to call Papa? Like, क्या जरूरत थी उनको बुलाकर बताने, स्पेशली बुलाकर बताया। वो बंदा शांति से संडे को अपना न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ रहा है, चाय पीते पीते, उनको बुलाया उन्होंने बोलने के लिए कि इसको पीरियड्स हो गए। लाइक ठीक है भाई। फिर ना मम्मी कहती और कहाँ कपड़े, और कपड़े कहाँ छुपाए हैं? मैंने कहा कौन से कपड़े? कहती झूठ मत बोल, पजामे मिसिंग है। आई वाज लाइक ओके।
Mom
फिर
know everything. Like
या
my
देन
mom is
मैंने
like a
अलमारी
detective.
खोली, मैंने अलमारी खोली, सारे गंदे कपड़े बाहर निकाले। शी इज लाइक आर यू क्रेजी? तो इतनी गालियां सुनी है मैंने उस दिन, just to hide. Because she actually said, "Tuhina, do you realize it's not about you were hiding, it's about how unhygienic things get." And that was like my first lecture on woman hygiene and like in general hygiene. And with with the hygiene also come a lot of what do you call this, andhvishwasi baatein. So my mom
Hmm.
specifically told me that if any male member of the family sees your stained clothes, so it reduces their life by one. Okay, that's weird. That was something and ever since then I've it's क्योंकि क्या होता है, 6th standard is an impressionable age, so you remember all of this. तो अब क्या है, मैं भी अब थोड़ा ऐसे, मुझे भी, इवन दो इसका कोई कोरिलेशन नहीं है, साइंटिफिक कोरिलेशन, बट इट्स नाउ इन माय हेड. सो आई ट्राई माय बेस्ट कि भाई मैं पहले पहले ही क्लीन कर दूं सब कुछ, अगर इफ देयर इज एनीथिंग, अदरवाइज फिर
With me, at least, that's one thing where my parents, they have never, um, I don't know how much of it they followed during their own time, but with me, they've never forced me to follow any sort of religious thing or any, uh, you know, superstitious things. If I don't feel like following it, I'll not follow it. And around period, at least, I was very, very lucky that in my family, with my parents at least, we were very practical that this is a very, very normal thing. This is not something to be, made to be made a big deal of. It's not something to really fuss about. You can just lead your life normally. I was very excited when I got my first period. Okay, I had no idea what life
I
was
was
going to
though
be
I was
after this.
embarrassed. I was very embarrassed. I was
I was
embarrassed
very
because
excited.
I was I was in my class. Okay, I was the first one who started wearing a sports bra, and I was also the first one to get a period. So I did, and I always
Oh,
wanted to be first when it comes to studies. हाँ, तब मैं 6th standard में काफी ऐसे competitive लड़की थी, तो मैं उधर तो फर्स्ट नहीं आ रही थी, दुनिया की बाकी सारी रेसेस में मैं फर्स्ट जा रही थी, तो मेरे को तो नहीं समझ
okay.
नहीं आ रहा था कि क्या है. It was unfair. I was so disappointed with God.
I was feeling left out because all my other friends had already gotten it.
See,
Most of them.
you had a
So
good
that's
circle.
why I was
But
excited.
was
That's
getting
why
the
I was
period.
excited.
Yeah, see,
And I
look at
remember when I got my first period, I was going to the school. We had our exam, and I was walking to the bus stop in a very awkward way because I was not used to wearing a pad. And my dad, poor thing, he was just वो मनी मन वो मुझे देख रही हूँ मैं हंस रहे हैं and he's also like अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है कोई बात नहीं get used to
I,
it.
I was walking literally with my legs wide open. पता है घर पे. I was like ऐसे ऐसे चल के I was so मतलब मेरे पापा भी कहते तू क्या
Yeah.
कैसे चल रही है. I'm like आप देख लो. The reaction was
But
that.
it's the cutest thing when you can have these conversations with your
Yeah, he took
parents
me to
and
have
with
an
your
ice cream
father.
that day, पता है.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I
तो he
remember, we were going to Ladakh.
hmm.
We are going on a family vacation to Ladakh, and this was the first time. Okay, first time the three of us are going to get on an airplane. And right before boarding, I got my period. And I became very angry. And I was like, "Shit, यार मेरा airplane का first experience अब भी होना चाहिए I was all angry and all. And my mom understood that अभी ये 5-10 मिनट तक चिड़चिड़ करेगी फिर प्लेन में बैठ के खुश हो जाएगी और फिर चुप हो जाएगी. So when I don't know how much of it I remember clearly, but I remember my dad asking me, "What is happening? Why are you two going to the washroom, coming back, going again, coming back? What is happening?" And then she just told him that she's cranky because she got her period, and his reaction was like, "So normally तो है, तो क्या हो गया?"
This is very recent. I tell you what happened. Okay, I did not want to work because I got my period that day, and I did not want to work. I'm anyway lazy, but अब तो क्योंकि period as an excuse I use. So I was like, मेरे को periods हो रहे हैं. तो पापा कहते तो सारी दुनिया चल नहीं रही है क्या?
हाँ, he like told me.
Zero sympathy, bro. सारी दुनिया चल नहीं रही है क्या? लड़के क्या आर्मी ज्वाइन नहीं कर रही है क्या इस चक्कर में? Like,
Like
okay.
our fathers have crossed acknowledgement,
Yeah,
consideration
I'm like,
stage. They are like,
listen,
बस
but
हो चुका है तुम्हारा.
हाँ, तो he's like, फिर पता है सिटी यार ज्यादा ही फेमिनिज्म की वेव आ गई हमारे घर में पता नहीं क्या है ये.
Yes.
My mind just went like that. उससे कहते कुछ नहीं होता है ये सब. ये क्या हो रहा है कुछ भी हो रहा है कहते कुछ हो दवाई चाहिए मंगा देता हूँ काम करो उठ के. और
Yeah.
उसके बाद he actually had the audacity to lecture me on equality. ठीक है कहते वैसे तुमको बड़ी इक्वालिटी चाहिए ये करना है वो करना है. अब सडनली पीरियड आ गया तो बेड पे बैठूंगी मैं महारानी बन के पड़ी रहूंगी मैं वही पूरा पूरा दिन टीवी देखती रहूंगी गंद खाती रहूंगी बस मैं. he just
He
started on
was.
it. I'm like okay okay.
Uncle Savage as fuck.
अंकल तो बहुत सैवेज है. अंकल बहुत ही ज्यादा सैवेज हो जाते हैं कई बार. लाइक पापा काश आप थोड़े पुराने ख्यालात के होते. किचन
You're too modern.
किचन
You're too modern
टू
for me.
या he's too modern for my good. तुम कुछ कुछ नहीं हो. तुम उठ के काम करो अपना ये करो वो करो असाइनमेंट पड़े हैं ये पड़ा है सुबह से बस लेटे हुए हो. मैंने कहा पापा आपको नहीं
हम भी
होते ना.
पढ़े हुए हैं. असाइनमेंट भी पढ़े हैं, हम भी पढ़े हैं.
वही तो देख मैंने कहा आपको नहीं होते ना तो इसीलिए तब बोल रहे हो. कहता तुम अकेली लड़की नहीं हो दुनिया में जिसको होते हैं. मेरी मदर को भी होते थे मेरी बहन को भी होते हैं मेरी वाइफ को होते थे. ठीक है तो तुम ज्यादा बनो मत काम करो उठ के. he has these statements he throws at me like the arrows की तरह ऐसे यहाँ लगते हैं मुझे.
Okay. So I think we've had quite a discussion. Thank you so much. And now